In this video, I'm going to walk you through and break down the 3 core ingredients to every $1 million per month sales team. And so if you don't know who I am, my name is Adam Taylor. And over here at Nomadic Closer, we run a done-for-you sales growth firm where we build, run, manage, and scale sales teams from typically anywhere between $100,000 and $200,000 a month to $1 million a month, completely hands-off, completely hands-free, and done for you. Many business owners that we speak to and that we look into and audit, and we have a lot of insight into many different companies, different owners, different offers, typically think that the icing and the bells and the whistles on a cake are what make a great cake. But there are some core ingredients that if they are missing, if you are missing the eggs, if you're missing the flour, if you're missing the butter of a cake, all of the icing in the world means nothing because your cake is not going to taste good. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through the main 3 ingredients today. And these are the 3 main core pillars that we assess and solve for to be able to create effortless scale and scale to $1 million a month and beyond. What I'm going to do is walk you through the 3 main core ingredients. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you how these come together for more money, more time, and increased conversions and lifetime value of your team to be able to scale to $1 million very quickly and beyond very easily. And so the 3 main core ingredients come down to having great processes, amazing people, and the ability and a system to be able to solve problems. In our opinion, it doesn't just come down to having processes, because anybody can have a process, but it comes down to having tried and tested and battle-worn perfect processes for your offer. It doesn't just come down to having people, it comes down to having talented and engaged people on your team, and it comes down to having a system for problem solving. If we break these down into the 3 main things and 3 main core elements that each of these need to actually be put in place, is when we're looking at perfect processes, it just comes down to 3 things. What are prospects seeing, hearing, feeling, understanding before, during, and after a sales call? Those are the 3 main elements that need to be broken down. And so each of these pieces can also be broken down into exactly how we choreograph from first click to showing up to the call. What do prospects see, read, hear, feel, and understand before they even speak to us as a company? In what cadence, which information, in which order? On the call, how are we constructing and reverse engineering a conversation, a discovery, and a series of questions to have the prospect see, feel, hear, and understand that all of the reasons that they feel that they have to say no to this are no longer valid. And after the call, regardless of the outcome, whether the deal was closed on the call or is to be closed later or not at all, what is their experience after that call in their immediate handoff to onboarding, or in the time between their first and their second call, or in the next 7, 28, and more days after that call if they didn't close for whatever reason. And so all it comes down to is just reverse engineering a process of scripting, framing, and information before, during, and after each call. When it comes to having a team of talented people, all you need to solve for is how can I attract the top tier talent? And when I've attracted them, how can I train? But most importantly, and this is probably the gap that most businesses and sales teams do not close efficiently, is how do I systematically retain them? And so in attracting top tier talent, a lot of offers and a lot of business owners and sales managers that we come across, unfortunately, will fabricate, exaggerate, or downright lie about the opportunity that they put in front of sales reps. And so what they do is they feel that they're attracting talent. What they're doing is repelling and using the negative compounding effect of word of mouth. Once that rep has maybe been onboarded into your offer and the numbers that you gave them are not true, their on-track earnings or expected amount of money that they can earn in commissions is not the one that you told them, and the company culture is not all cracked up to what you said it was, then all they're going to do is leave and tell everybody else that's in the community not to join that offer. And now you've not just lost one person, you've probably lost 5. Training is a matter of having a very systemized, choreographed onboarding and ramp up process. And when I say onboarding, please listen carefully to this. I do not mean giving sales reps logins to the CRM and 2 call recordings and wishing them the best of luck. I mean onboarding them to the vision, the mission, the values of the company, helping them understand the person that we help, the problems that they have, and the process that we use to solve them. And when ramping, having crystal clear expectations of what is expected by when, what the plan is to support that person into achieving those targets, and what is going to happen if they are not met, and what is going to happen if they are met. Very, very simple, but not easy, like most things in life. Getting in shape is incredibly simple. Move more, eat less, or eat better. It's just not easy. And so the last piece of this is having a system to be able to systematically solve problems. And to be able to systematically solve problems in the sales process, in the sales system, the first thing you need to be able to do is to track. You need to have a system to track as much data as possible, but bunch it up into the most important buckets. An example of this would be 2 very simple metrics: a lead to schedule rate and a schedule to close rate. How many of the leads that we generated, how many of them actually booked into the calendar? And of the people that booked into the calendar, what percentage of those actually closed? Now, these are 2 big buckets that we can play with. And so if we see that there's a significant drop in one, what we then need to be able to do is to be able to chunk down in this bucket all of the small metrics that add up to this one big bucket of lead to schedule. How many opt-ins? How many people filled out an application? How many of them filled out an application but didn't book? How many of them watched the VSL? Of these, can we track those into different sources? Can we chunk down into Instagram and Facebook ads of those opt-ins, Instagram and Facebook ads of those applications, etc., etc.? And so it's incredibly important to be able to have a big bucket and then chunk down data so that we can find the missing link, solve for this problem, which is then going to chunk back up into an increase in the larger bucket above. And so if we don't have clear tracking and a good system to know what to track, how to track it, then we won't be able to solve problems that are occurring. Now, once we've tracked that data, that's not all, isn't it? Now we have to have a system and a cadence as to how to identify these problems. And so if we're tracking data, we're now tracking data efficiently. We're now able to identify a drop up here and track it back to this one small tweak that we need to make here. But then we need to, that's not all, because if we've tracked the data, we've identified the problem. Now, how do we solve for it? What most businesses do that we see is they just bazooka the problem and they will change 3 to 4 metrics at a time. And so if we change 3 different variables, how are we ever going to know which one of them was the one that worked? And so we've just now 3x our workload for a possible gain. And so what we need is a system to be able to understand what problem are we solving, how we plan to solve it, what problem are we solving, how do we plan to solve it, and who are we modeling, for how long, what time or amount of calls, with what expected result. And so if we have a system to be able to do this, what we do is we throw up a hypothesis. And if we have a hypothesis that says that we are going to solve this problem in this way and we're going to test this one variable for this amount of time, expecting this result, we can then at the end of it say we achieved the result, cool, on to the next one. No, we did not, back to the drawing board. If we change one variable at a time, we have a much higher likelihood of finding out what it is that worked, solving it for good, putting it to bed, and moving on to the next constraint of the business. Now, you may be at this point thinking, okay, well, that kind of makes sense, but like, why should I bother? Well, when we have a system to consistently solve problems, and we have talented people to do that, what happens is we increase the LTV, the lifetime value of our sales team. And so in the same way that we want to increase the lifetime value of a customer, we can do that in 2 ways. Number 1 is we can have that customer stay with us longer. Number 2, we can have that customer pay us more, thereby increasing from a short amount of time that they stay with us and a low price that they pay us to now a longer time and more money. The same goes for your sales team. If a sales rep stays with you longer, they will by default make you more money. If you help that sales rep close more deals over time by consistently solving problems, meaning they want to stay around because they're not stuck facing the same problem over and over and over again. They will stay longer and they will be able to make more money by default, therefore increasing the LTV of your sales team. If we have perfect processes and we have talented people, what we get is an awful lot of time back, because now we have choreographed and processes and systems that are working and running, and great people using them, therefore not taking ownership and not taking up your time. You can now get time back as the business owner, but the sales team can also get the time back to spend more time on revenue generating activities and less time on doing silly shit around it. And the last piece of this is, if we have perfect processes in place and a great system to consistently solve problems, well, we're just by default going to make more money. We can't not. We have processes that work and we are able to solve problems as they come up, thereby alleviating constraints, increasing through flow. Well, now we've just made more money. And so the way that we go about this at Nomadic Closer is by analyzing these 3 buckets with these 9 variables and seeing where we might be in the red, where we might be in the amber, and where we might be in the green. And if we do this for the whole business, all of a sudden it becomes abundantly clear which problem we need to solve and in which order, so that we can consistently take each of these pieces from a red to an amber to a green. And so the net result of all of this is that you are now able to very easily and effortlessly scale, which is exactly the thing that we wanted the whole time. And so these 3 core ingredients cannot be missing from this cake. There is no situation and no offer in which you can have faulty processes, no system to be able to solve problems, and an inability to attract talented people and easily scale if you have a sales team of humans. And so even if they were outsourced, even if this is an automated process, you still need to have great processes, you still need to be able to solve problems, and you still need to have talented people operating those systems and processes. And so there is no scenario in which you cannot have these things and have more money, more time, and increase the lifetime value of your company by effortlessly scaling. When you're looking at your team, look at these 3 buckets, look at these 9 variables around them, and score yourself from a red, amber, green, from a non-existent, terrible, to a kind of there, mediocre, to a green, we're on point, this is not an issue. And then just systematically go after the reds, turn them to ambers, turn the ambers to greens. And once you have a fully green circle, you'll notice that scaling to $1 million a month, 2, 3, 4, 5 million a month becomes effortless and seamless. And so if you like this video, give it a like, drop a little comment, tell me what you liked about it, drop in any questions you might have had, hit the subscribe button so you can catch more of these. And if you didn't like it, no stress, I love you anyway. Catch you in the next one.